It was a wild week in North American Valorant. Sentinels were forced to play with some subs, NiSMO looks like the best player on the planet, and there were quite a few upsets. But with only 2 weeks remaining, almost every team still has a shot at playoffs, even Sentinels. So, let's talk about it. Before we get into the video, I just want to remind you guys about Liz's NaVct watch parties. Every Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, you can come hang out with her and some special guests live on our Twitch channel while they watch all of the matches.
No, dude, not like this. No.
Phase up, bro! Phase up! Let's
They
go.
literally all lined up.
Alright, week 3 of the NaVct group stage is over, and although every match ended in a 2-0, we actually have a lot to talk about. Now I know Sentinels haven't exactly had the best start to stage 2. Hell, they've been on a steady decline basically since their win in Iceland last year, but they're still the most popular Valorant roster in the whole world. So let's talk about them first. Sentinels played Optic on Saturday in what was pretty much a must-win match. Since taking home the Masters 1 trophy, Optic have picked up exactly where they left off, and they're still yet to lose a series. So it was already an uphill battle for Sentinels, but to make matters worse, they made a surprising announcement just about an hour before the match even got underway. They tweeted that Tens was sick, and Sick had a family emergency, so they'd be subbing in their coach Raucus, who also had COVID, and my boy Danny. Now I spoke to Danny yesterday, and it turns out that he had just as much notice as us on Saturday.
I think they asked me an hour and a half before the match started. Like, I was actually about to leave my house to go watch the Champions League final, and then Shaz was messaging me like that they need a sub, and I couldn't say no, so but yeah, it was an hour and a half before.
As expected, Optic won 2-0 to remain undefeated, and Sentinels are still winless. Now, before this match, I would have told you that they needed a win here to keep their season alive. They're not mathematically out of contention for playoffs, but they're in desperate need of some wins. Sentinels did give us an update late last night stating that Sick will be taking an extended leave of absence to attend to an ongoing family matter, so Raucus will fill in for the remainder of challengers. I hope everything's alright with Sick. Luckily for them, and unfortunately for me, my team C9 bailed them out a bit by getting schmeeged on by FaZe on Sunday.
The horse push comes through. That's poised with the null command. They just Spanish out through the smoke. They're finding the perfect angles. The drop down, it's not coordinated with anything. Coverage from the back, baby Bay is straight up breaking ankles.
Cloud9's loss to FaZe really makes things interesting though. Group B is essentially wide open. If Sentinels win their 2 remaining matches against both of those teams, then they have a solid chance of qualifying. But the most interesting team in Group B, at least to me, is EG. They stomped LG on the weekend, and I gotta be honest, I did not see this coming. And I definitely wasn't the only one. Jogamo and Boostio continued to frag out as they always do, but what impressed me the most was Calm's fade on map 2. Just take a look at some of these utility combos.
Dark to step it up, but he fights it very well here on the attacker side of Long B. But there's a counter from the orbital strike on a defense, so Apod drops a spike. There's only 12 seconds left in the round. B-Dog and Dazzle have to hold it down. 10 seconds left, the plant's coming in, and Jojo is pushing inside the side. She'll stop her onto the ground. It's a 2 versus 1. Dazzle's at 5 HP as they're moving in onto the defuse for EG. Dodges the paint shells. The swing out as Jogamo gets the kill, and EG another clean round as they get 5-0.
Although we've seen each region test out Fade on various maps, I wouldn't really call her a must-pick agent just yet. But here's EG's coach Potter talking about the Fade pick.
Fade is just so strong right now. The utility, the info, and the great thing about Fade is she's just another Skye. At any point, you can just swap and switch your role from an initiator to a duelist. That kit allows it, right? And so we saw a little bit of a breach coming through, and it was great while it lasted, but Fade is just so much better.
Alright, let's move on to Group A, where the fight for playoffs is even tighter. First, I want to start off with the Guard. After a disappointing run in Iceland, they tried to reinvent themselves. We saw some role swaps throughout the first couple weeks of Stage 2, and things just weren't working. But thankfully, this past week, the Guard went back to their roots. Sayo was on Jet again, and Trent was doing, well, Trent things.
Timing here for Trent is going to be everything. It's an even exchange. Pinstripe goes the kill feed. 3v2 numbers with TSM, but the clock is not in their favor. They've collected the spike. Trent comes forward, trying to stop the plant from even coming through in the first place and takes down all 4.
Next, let's talk about 100 Thieves. They kinda shit on XSET, which I didn't see coming. The young guns, Asuna, Bang, and Will all popped off, and with this win, they're now sitting at the top of Group A with a better map win and round differential than both Xset and Ghost. Speaking of Ghost, they're the real deal, guys. The team that everyone expected to see back in Stage 1 finally seemed to have it figured out.
They have to keep checking their back. They have to be ready for
God,
something!
what a flash by NiSMO. 3 kills, looking for the 4th, and he's gonna get it. Hayes tries to answer back and already at 19 HP.
NiSMO continues to look unstoppable. With a bald buff, a restaurant buff, and even a dad buff, this dude is basically the Johnny Sins of Valorant. His opponents, NRG, on the other hand, were pretty disappointing, if I'm being honest, but they did try out something somewhat interesting. Since each and every member of Ghost used the Vandal, they decided to only purchase light armor throughout the entire game. That way they could ensure themselves more buy rounds. Because if you get one tapped by a Vandal, then you're dead, and it doesn't matter how much armor you have. So do I think this was a cool idea? Yeah, I guess. Did it work out though? No. Not at all. Not at all. But like I said earlier, the race for playoffs is extremely close in both groups. Optic is the only team who I can really say is a cut above the rest right now, and the rest of the competition in NA is nuts. It seems like any team can win on any day. Whoever shows up on the match day just deserves it more. But with only 2 spots for Copenhagen up for grabs, it genuinely makes me sad to think of all the teams that are gonna have their season cut short in the next couple weeks. And this isn't just a problem in NA. No, the VCT season will be ending for many teams worldwide because of this year's format, which is insane because it's only June. I wish Riot would give us more international lands or at least expand the amount of teams that are at current events. There are just so many good teams out there who deserve a chance. But with regional leagues coming next year and rumors of only 8 to 10 teams getting invites, it's tough for me to stay optimistic. And it's even scarier for some of the pros. This could really harm the development of the tier 2 scene.
When I see all these rumors about like the format for the league, I'm like, ooh, like if there's only like 4 to 6 NA teams, it's gonna be tough because like right now the top 10 are all good. Every month there's someone new that pops off, or there's a meta that favors that team. So it's kind of like it's whoever adapts the hardest and adapts the most. And yeah, it's very tight right now. Like anything could happen.
Now there is still time for Riot to maybe expand some of these leagues and change some things for next year. But for a lot of teams, their 2022 seasons are about to end. It was a wild week in North American Valorant. I feel like I'm fucking sweating. I should take off this sweater or I'm gonna power through. Do I look like I'm sweating? Hang on. Saya was on Jet again and Trent was, well, doing Trent things. Oh, Trent. Trent moment. For a lot of teams, their 2022 seasons are about to end. That is fucking heavy, damn. It's sad. Sag, I wrote Sag in the script beside that.